right, welcome to Money Wise with Wisdom Ezekiel. And this is where we get to discuss about how to become wise about money, how to make, manage, and multiply money in a practical way. Because money making is practical. It's not just theoretical. If it was theory, then everything that they taught you in school will probably be irrelevant and will make many people who went to school to be wealthy. But what we have come to realize is that the people who became or become wealthy are not necessarily people who have academic experience or academic background. Academics is not, we're not talking down on academics. Please get all the academic qualification you can get. But alongside with your academic qualification, please get the real education, which is live education, street credibility, street smartness. And this is the platform that we get to teach all of that. So today I'm going to be talking about one major thing that has made my life much more different from a lot of my peers, that have made me stand out, that have made me to become the kind of person I've become, that has helped me to achieve great success in my life. And that is what I call decision making, the power to make decisions. You see, everyone makes decision. Not making a decision is a decision in itself. So decision making is very powerful, that everyone does it every day. So if it's something you do naturally, then you should do it deliberately and with intentionality. So decision making is very important, but you must make decision very deliberately. You must be very intentional about decision making. Successful people decide quickly. They make decision fast. One of the things I've come to realize sometimes when, growing up, I kind of saw a number of successful people and I see the way they just make decisions fast. Sometimes something bad happens to them and they are easily out of it. Sometimes something good happens to them and they're also easily out of it. They don't waste time in one particular thing. Something is not working, they are easily out of it. They easily adjust, and move on. They don't just stay put and wallow in regrets and wallow in failure and all of that. They easily make decisions. You see, you are a sum total of the decisions that you have made in life. If you ever get yourself in a position where your life does not matter as much, check out the decisions that you have made. Where you are today is that you decided to be there. If you make a decision today that you're going to live where you are today, you are going to get to the next level of your life. So decision making is very important. That's why successful people, they make decisions very fast. Unsuccessful people, they take their time to make decisions. They delay and drag in making decisions. And sometimes when you make decisions late, it can just mar the entire process. They used to say that delayed justice is denied justice, because when you delay justice, you are denying the person the privilege of being able to partake of the freedom or the authentic nature of any judgment. The same thing, if you delay in making decisions, then you will not partake of the benefit of making those decisions, because the faster you can make a decision, the easier it is that you can enter into what you need to enter. So decision making is very important. Now, anytime you need to delay a decision, let it be that you have analyzed the decision, that decision required to be delayed. And that in itself is decision. So decision making is what we do every day in our lives. And it is that thing that has positioned us in anywhere we find ourselves. And if that is what it is, then everybody must begin to learn how to make decision and make the right kind of decision. So how do you make decision? Number one, always count the cost. Always count the cost. Always analyze the outcome before you make the decision. Sometimes people take some steps and they say, I didn't really analyze it properly. I didn't know that that's how it's going to turn out. Well, sometimes if you stay put with the decision making and do a lot of analysis, you will get to know how it's going to turn out. Yes, you can't be in control of everything in life, but you must be in control of some things in your life, especially in the area of making quality decisions. The more quality your decisions are, the more quality your life will become. So your life has to be very quality because your decisions are quality. So sit down and do proper analysis before you make decisions. Ensure that the decisions you are making, you have properly analyzed them to be sure that those decisions are going to bring better outcome in your life. I've made some decisions in my life that sometimes I feel I regret those decisions. But if you look at those decisions, they are decisions that I didn't count the cost. I didn't look at the repercussion. I didn't look at what will come out of those decisions. And when you don't look at the repercussion, you don't look at what will come out of the decisions, you make all kinds of decisions without knowing what will come out of it. Now, for someone who got into school, we sent you to school to get your school certificate, to get a degree, all right? So you got back with a certificate, but it was a birth certificate that you came back. I'm talking about a young lady, all right? Now, if you came back with a birth certificate as against the school certificate, it is based on decision. You can't just, when you are not married, you can't just come up and say, I didn't know how it happened. You knew how it happened, except the person was raped. If it's not rape, then you knew how it happened. It was a decision you made to enjoy your life. And while you are enjoying your life, the result of that decision came about. And you have to live with the consequences. The challenge, especially with ladies, is that when you make such decisions, guys don't carry pregnancy. Guys will not drop out of school. I don't know why I'm saying this, but maybe I'm talking to somebody. Is the lady that will drop out of school, is the lady that will carry the pregnancy, go to labor room, give birth to the child, even give the child some attention until the child is like 2 or 3 years old before the person can go back to school. But this is something that I've seen happen severally to a lot of people, and that's as a result of decision making. The decision was to enjoy your life for like 5 or 10 minutes, and it gave that person like a 3 to 5 years project that the person has to be on, and that's a decision. A decision to defraud somebody can be the decision that will lead somebody to jail. I know people who are in jail today, and the reason why they are in jail is because they made a decision to defraud somebody, and the person they defrauded, one thing led to another, and they found themselves in prison. But it was a decision. It was a decision. You can make the right decision today. So if you had counted the cost, if you have painted the picture of what that decision can lead you to, probably you would take a better decision. So in life, it is very important that we begin to learn how to take the right decision, count the cost. Number 2, when you are making decision, ensure that you are making decision based on information. Make decision based on right information. There are a lot of people who make decisions based on what is trending, based on trends and all of that. And that cannot give you what you want, because what is trending may not be the ideal. You have to be informed. If you are not informed, you will be deformed. If you are not inspired, you will expire. So you need to ensure that you make decisions based on information. So that's why you need to do a lot of research. You need to ask questions. You need to relate to people who have experience, so that when you are making decision, you are making the right decision, and you are able to go into, many things in your life. Your life moves in the direction of your decisions most of the time. The direction of your decision is what determines the direction of your life. If you want your life to move in the right direction, then you must take the right decisions. It's like somebody who is traveling, all right, and you decided to follow a particular route, all right. How fast you will get to your destination will be determined by the route that you took. It's just a simple one. And taking that route is just a decision making. I remember one time I wanted to get to some place, and I put on the map, and the map said, follow this way. I said, no, I know the place. I followed somewhere else. Now, making that decision, disobeying the app, put me into about 3 hours of hold up. I faced that traffic. By the time I came out, I now discovered why the app wanted me to follow another route, because it was avoiding the hold up that I was going to face. Now, that is what happens when we take wrong decisions. All right. So when you are going to take decisions, ensure that you are well informed about your decision. Then number 3, always take a decision that you are willing to accept the consequences. Always take a decision that you are willing to accept the consequences. One of the principles I have in my life is that I don't borrow people money, especially people I know. It's a decision I made many years ago. I learned it from my mentor, Dr. Lumide Emmanuel. I don't borrow people money, especially people I know. Because how do you explain it where you are looking at somebody who is supposed to be your friend, but the person is owing you and have refused to pay? And you are giving the person all kinds of body language, all kinds of eye contact, and yet the person is not understanding until you come and ask the person for the money. And you are feeling that this person is my friend, I shouldn't embarrass the person, or this person is my relative, I shouldn't embarrass the person. But you have made a decision to borrow the person money, and that has, stiffened the relationship that you have with the person. So what I will advise is, if you want to be like me, be someone who you don't borrow people money, but when people need money, if you can let go of that money, if you can live without that money, then you can give the person the money. So that even when the person does not pay, you know that in the first place, I gave you the money. One of my friends came one time and said he wanted to do some expansion in his business and needed money. By the time he told me the amount, it was not a very big amount for me. For him, it was a big amount, but he said he wanted to borrow it. In my heart, I wasn't borrowing him, I was giving him. So I gave him the money. When I gave him the money, few months later, he came back and said, I shouldn't be annoyed that he has not been able to pay. I said, no problem, whenever you can pay. And some few months later again, he came back and said, he's finding it difficult to pay and all of that. And I said, no, in the first place, I never borrowed you. I gave you the money. And he was very surprised. How am I able to let go? Is because I never borrowed him the money. I have analyzed the consequences of my decision. I've analyzed that I'll be able to live with him not paying me the money. That was why I made the decision in the first place. So what I'm saying in essence is, one of the ways to ensure that you make the right decision is to evaluate the consequences. Can you live with the consequences of the decisions you are about to make? Because if you cannot live with the consequences, it's not right making the decision. Some people may ask me, Mr. Wisdom, sometimes you want to take risk. You want to take a decision without understanding everything. Yes, you can take a decision without understanding everything, but be ready for the consequences also. Because in life, there are consequences. You have to face the consequences if they come. One of the things I've seen about successful people is that even when the consequences come, they are open to the consequences. They don't regret. And I remember one time, I think it was Warren Buffett that was asked that, have you ever had any regret in investment? And Warren Buffett said, no, in investment, we don't regret. We only learn how not to invest. So if you have invested wrongly, we learn. It's more like school fees. You have paid your dues and you go. That's why he has become a sophisticated investor, because he has done it over and over again, has learned how to invest, and that has positioned him as an authority. No regret, because why? You have evaluated the outcome, you have evaluated the consequences, and you are willing to live with the consequences, and that's what will help you strengthen your decision making. I remember when I was going to get married, I had some challenges with my then fiancée, and wanted to get to change a number of things, where going through the process of development. And I remember my pastor then called me and said, look, that when it comes to marriage, you can only try to change somebody. You can't really change people. It's only God that has the capacity to change people. He said, the way you are looking at your wife now, look at her. With the extent of the development she has now, will you be willing to marry her and live with her for the rest of your life if she doesn't change? if you cannot live with it for the rest of your life, he said, then don't go ahead and marry. And that's the same thing I say to people today. If the person you want to marry right now does not change and you can live with that consequences, then go ahead and marry. But if the person does not change and you cannot live with the consequences, it is too risky to assume that the person will change in the future, because the person may never change. Because it takes God to change people. In fact, somebody who is good can change to become bad. Not talk of somebody who is bad now changing to become good. There are all possibilities, but you are not in control. So ask yourself, am I willing to live with the consequences of the decision I'm about to take? This may not be a relationship talk, but I'm putting a bit of relationship into it. You know why? Because relationship, especially when it has to do with relationship, marital issues, has a lot to do with finances. If you marry the wrong person, they can reduce your potential to earning. If you marry the right person, they can increase your potential of earning. So that decision of who to marry, how to marry is a very critical one. You see, marriage in itself is risk, but you need to analyze the risk. In business, we have, when you have risk, you have the mitigating factor. You need to ensure that you have enough mitigating factor for every risk analysis that you are doing, so that you are well positioned. You are able to absorb all the consequences that will come from the things that you are doing. So that's what it is to ensure that you keep moving forward. Great destinies are destinies that are molded in the process of decision making. Is decision. Somebody decided to get married. Somebody decided to go to school. Somebody decided to start a business. Somebody decided to travel abroad. Somebody decided to get exposed. That decision that will take you to the next level, if you make it today, your life will start getting transformed. I usually say that situations usually may not change until you change. So make that decision today to change, so that you become a master of the process. Change so that things around you can change. Make quality decision. Make very quality decision. Because why? Every quality decision you make will attract quality results into your life. Every decision that is not quality that you make will attract low quality into your life. So you want to make the best decisions. Then I will really advise that you spend time in meditation. I think people who spend a lot of time in meditation make better decisions. You know why? They spend a lot of time processing the decisions they want to make, and it helps them to really have analysis of what they want to do. So spend time in meditation. I see a lot of people, they have time where they eat, they have time when they watch TV, they have time where they play around with people. They even have time when they sleep, all right? But they don't have time to meditate, time to sit down and think. I've always said it, you can go on a thinking retreat where you are thinking and you are writing, you are organizing. Is a thinking retreat. It's not just a prayer retreat. I think that if you have better meditation, your prayer life will even be better, because your meditation will help your prayer life become more effective. You can do more with your prayers than what you do if you are not you are not somebody who meditates. So you need to begin to meditate and take the right decision. The more you meditate, the more you can think deeper, the more you can come up with quality decision-making process. I believe that with these few words of mine, I've been able to convince you that you need to make the right decision, and to make the right decision, you need to ensure that you process it very well, analyze the consequences, be ready to live with whatever comes out of it, because every decision has an outcome, and the outcome is what determines the outcome of your life. Thank you very much.